Yay, it's working. Hi, sorry guys, we had some technical difficulties, but here we are, and Gary should be joining us soon. Today we are talking about champagne. So, the idea is we've got Valentine's Day coming up. Okay, I see Gary, he just joined, and here he's coming. He should be hopping in soon. So, thank you all for joining us. Hi, Gary.
Hello,
Sorry about the
how's it
technical
going?
difficulties. Good, how are you?
Oh, doing pretty darn good. Excited
Good.
about Valentine's Day.
I am too. I feel like these little, the more sort of quarantined and isolated we are, these little moments mean more.
They
Anyway,
definitely, they definitely do. And when we were having this discussion at dinner. I mean, sometimes it's hard to get behind a Hallmark holiday, but at a time like this, anything that we can do to have a little celebration is
I agree.
is welcome.
And I have little kids, so the Hallmark holidays become really sweet instead of.
Oh.
Yeah, they make Valentines for their friends and then my husband and I drink champagne. So it's all good.
Sounds like a great way to be.
Well, I'm excited to talk about champagne because I've just been loving it lately. Just that's like what I'm craving, and so I'm sure I'm not the only one out there.
Oh, I know that I'm craving it, and I haven't had any since last night.
Yeah, I know. You've got first dibs on all the good stuff.
Oh. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, unless you had something you wanted to kick it off with,
No.
was rosé.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds good.
because oftentimes this is one of the big days for rosé champagne, and
hmm
um, I wonder if any of the viewers out there have plans to drink rosé, or if they're going to go with brut or go with vintage. But traditionally, it's always been thought of as a rosé champagne day, and I just wanted to talk briefly about the two main styles and the two main proponents of the two main styles, which are Champagne Biacart Samon
hmm
and Champagne Laurent Perrier. Um, so Champagne Biacart Samon, they are the big proponent of the blending style, where you make a red wine, a dark red wine, in the case of Biacart Samon, always from old vine, Marois Sorailly, Pinot Noir, and
This
then
a
they
still
blend
wine?
it. Yeah,
Are you
and they
okay?
blend that with a base, a white base, to get the aromatics right, to get the color right, to get the flavors right. Usually a fairly small percentage, 7-8%, but it changes from year to year. And then there's the other method, the biggest proponent of which is Laurent Perrier, which is the oftentimes in Champagne they call it Rosé de Saignée, although Saignée outside of Champagne it's usually meant as a bleeding off.
Yeah,
So
that's what
like
I've
in Bordeaux or in Napa, they do a Saignée to increase the skin to juice ratio to make a darker wine,
hmm
and then they have a rosé wine as a that comes out of that process. But in Champagne, they call it Saignée when really it's just a direct skin contact rosé, a rosé of maceration. Um, and the advantage to that is you get more flavor, you get more aroma, but the disadvantage is if you fall asleep next to the tank and it goes an hour over,
you've got a red wine.
you can get tannin,
Yeah.
which you don't want.
So you're using the red grapes and the white grapes, blending it all together, macerating together with the Laurent Perrier
That
style.
there are a few people that do that, but most of the time, and in the case of Laurent Perrier, and in the case of most people who do a rosé maceration, it's all one. It's usually all Pinot Noir or all Meunier and all skin contact, all the juice in contact with all of
Hmm.
the skins. There are a few people like Champagne Louis Roeder with their vintage stuff that do hybrids. Ospazi, interestingly enough, does both. They're crazy. Every year they make a red wine, and every year they do the skin contact.
Huh.
And
I
that
just
way,
had it.
you did? What'd you
So
think?
good. Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was so fruity and but still like zippy and sharp. But it was lush and defined at the same time. And
Ugh.
we had it with I put a picture up today on Twitter with wasabi crackers and
Oh.
like a creme fraiche with a roe onion top. It was so good. So good.
No, I mean that wine, we sold that wine for $34.99, and
Yeah.
I can tell you honestly that there isn't anybody making it in more of an expensive way than them. To
Really.
think that he does both the maceration and then on top of it, makes this old vine red wine. Um, he's just a crazy man to do both,
Hmm.
because in the vineyard, you really, in order to make a champagne that you can do a maceration with, you have to be so careful in the vineyard. So very, very careful. And you can't have any maladies on the skins.
Hmm.
It's just, like the bad apple that ruins the whole apple barrel. It's the same sort of principle. And that's why most people prefer to do an addition of red wine where you have the opportunity to take a smaller vineyard, a smaller number of acres, and really meticulously farm them to make sure you've got no problems with the skins.
And then
Because I
are
mean,
they picking everything by hand and sorting by hand too to get
yeah, I mean, by
percentage?
law, the whole appellation of champagne has to be picked by hand.
Oh, I didn't know.
As soon as there's a machine, doing any sort of harvesting, you're done. You can't call it champagne.
Hmm. I didn't know. Well, that's why it's so exceptional.
They got a lot of rules.
They do. Well, it's France.
Another thing my wife wanted me to say, she said, "You know what? You got to tell the people that these little tiny bottles, these little quarter bottles, are super cute, super fun."
They are.
She said, "Don't bring me that on Valentine's Day." I don't want the little one. It's Valentine's Day. I want a 750.
Well, what if you get 3, 4 different ones and then you get a little sampler pack? That would be a nice Valentine's Day gift.
It could be, and sometimes the halves, the halves in the little bottles can be nice if maybe the one person doesn't, just for whatever reason, doesn't drink champagne. But if you're watching this,
Drink champagne.
drink the champagne. Get a 750.
Yeah. What about magnums? Do you have any champagne and magnums right now?
We do. Since the pandemic struck, the Magnum business is completely changed. We used to be so strong on Magnums, and now, I think luckily it's a great sign that our customers and our champagne loving customers are being responsible, and not gathering in groups.
Yeah.
But so the Magnum business is gone. My wife just chimed in there. She's the ginger cat there, and she said, the 750 at minimum.
Well, I know she's a fan of the champagne cocktails too, so you might have to, maybe you get the split for the champagne cocktail and then go on to the
There you
750.
go. Well, I see that Jeroboam 70 just joined, so I wonder if Jeroboam 70 is planning on going big.
Yeah.
Maybe his namesake 3-liter champagne.
It
Or
always
hers.
says
I'm
that
sorry.
a magnum is the right size for 2 people. That's Clyde's
Exactly.
point of view. So, it is good to be responsible and not gather with one other person.
There you go. But for those of you who are watching, I've got another little something for you. L'Amour, which is our biggest selling direct import champagne, they're always mysterious, and they they're just tight-lipped, and they don't really. I visit them every year, and try and get as much information as I can out of them. Things have gotten better as my French has gotten better, but um, they just sent me this as samples. They didn't even tell me it was on the way. It's
Hmm.
called the Venom Day, and this is 60% of Pinot Noir and 40% of Chardonnay. It's not here yet. It won't be here for um, well, the way things are going, probably 3 months. Um, but a new cuvee from Lamois is always a really,
Yeah.
really exciting thing. So
Is it non-vintage?
it's a non-vintage, yeah. 60% of Pinot, 40% of Chardonnay. I assume the Pinot Noir is from the Saison because they don't have Pinot Noir from anywhere else, to my knowledge. Um, and the Chardonnay could be from the Grand Crus of Maine-Auger or Cremant, or from down in the Saison. But
Do you think they're just sourcing fruit from new places and that's why they have the new cuvee name? Or
no, acquiring vineyard in Champagne is really difficult, and they only use estate fruit. So I would doubt that. But again, I don't know. I haven't been there since last March,
yeah, you
so
would
it's
be there right now, usually, right?
normally I'd be thinking about packing my bag up
Yeah.
right about now. But is anybody out there that's watching live? You got your bottles picked out for Valentine's? Maybe you can help me pick one out for myself.
Well, I was going to ask you to help me. I really want sushi for Valentine's Day. So, and I know you guys do a lot of sushi.
Well,
So where should I go? I mean, where should I go with the wine? What should I drink?
well, tonight, Cinnamon and I are planning on having sushi and champagne. Oh, somebody's having
Crystal.
2012 Cristal. Oh well,
Oh,
if you work for the importer, you better have that. But the Pierre Payard, great
yeah.
choice.
That'd be a good
Nice.
choice for sushi.
Oh, we've got somebody with a 88 in their name. It'd be nice to have an 88 champagne. That's the best vintage for drinking right now, hands down.
Is it?
Krug 167, great choice. We just got the 168 back into stock. It was out for so long that the computer forgot that it existed. I had to reactivate the SKU. But anyways, you were saying you're going to have sushi for Valentine's Day, and we have chilled down the Baron Fuente Esprit
Hmm,
Nature, the Brew Nature version of the
okay.
Esprit.
I haven't tried
Um,
that one, I don't think.
it's with over 7 years on the lees, it just doesn't need the dosage. I
Yeah.
mean, as the aperitif, it's a bit dry, but with sushi, I just think that those zero dosage styles, they just go, they
Okay.
work so nicely. Um, but we'll experiment and report back.
Thank you. Please do. Yeah, I don't generally tend to go for zero dosage, but I take note. Last time we talked, you said that because the climate's getting warmer, you know, and if they age the wines on the lees for a while, you really don't need it. The
No,
grapes are riper, so I should explore that style more.
yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things where they just don't taste the way they did 10 years ago. They
Yeah.
don't taste the way they did 5 years ago. It's definitely changed because I don't get a lot of pleasure out of battery acid. I mean, I've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
my palate, as it has to in order to do the champagne job, skews towards things that are brighter and higher in acid. But a lot of those zero dosage things, the first wave of them, they left me pretty cold. I you know wasn't really behind the idea. But now, I think that with the each vintage getting a little bit warmer than the last, unfortunately,
It's a good adaptation.
yeah, it is a very, very good adaptation. Oh, somebody's going to be drinking the 12 Alexander Lebrun Revelation. What? That's a stellar wine. What a I mean, those Meunier vines, that particular wine for me, I remember that was the best wine of the trip. A couple of trips ago, um,
Mm.
that combination of a very very low yielding vintage that was saved by really really nice weather in the fall, um, and a very cold microclimate there in Montalban, one of the coldest places where they grow, well, where champagne is grown.
Mm.
Um, and the more exotic nature of Meunier. I mean, to me, it's got it all. It has a minerality that would make some Blanc de Blancs jealous.
Mm.
But at the same time, this exoticism, and I mean, that's just a great wine. I wonder how it's drinking now. I mean, I haven't had that wine probably in 6 or 8 months, and I'd expect that it's going to be singing.
Maybe you should bring one of those home for Valentine's Day.
Well, I wish we had some more.
Oh, yeah.
the,
Well, I'm not going to be able to. What are
the
you guys going to eat?
you know, Cinnamon decided that we normally roast a chicken almost every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to get something from there's a local restaurant called Delfina, and they're doing like this Valentine's Day special. So the main course is like a braised short rib deal that will either have like maybe a Fizan from the north of Burgundy, or maybe a Barbaresco or something with. But we're definitely gonna be starting off with some champagne.
Yeah.
You know, one of the ideas that I was thinking about was digging out one of our '04 Longmont Special Clubs
Oh, that would be, I'm sure,
out of the
amazing
cellar.
right now.
Yeah.
You must have a pretty fun cellar because you've been doing this job for a while.
And for me, we're lucky. We've got a pretty substantial walk-in at home, but champagne, I've got a little 10-case locker at work. I keep it off site.
So you can't get to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rest of you folks out there watching do with your champagne in your cellar, but if I've got some 2015 Bordeaux, I can put it on the tip of my nose. I'm not going to open it. I'm not interested. I can
Because
wait.
you like older claret. That's just your style.
I do,
right?
but
Yeah.
I mean, almost any other wine, if it needs to wait, I've got no problem with patience. Ooh, vintage champagne and offsite.
Yeah.
It's
So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. It's just for one thing, they release it. On the young side of ready to drink, but ready to drink.
Yeah, it's already had a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious about back to the rosé conversation. When you take the two different styles, what's the effect of those? Is the macerated one more structured, more
Yeah,
more savory?
usually, they're usually darker, and they're usually considerably more aromatic, with red fruit, and have oftentimes a little bit more winey qualities. Um, but Laurent Perrier has always managed to keep theirs incredibly elegant,
Yeah.
even though it does have, I would say it does have more aroma and flavor, but it never falls over onto the vinous side. But some producers have made some really really intriguing vinous style rosé champagne, and while in general the ones that have an addition of red wine are lighter, it's not necessarily always the case, because I think of Krug Rosé, for example, which has an addition of red wine. They really like to use good, powerful IE Rouge in that wine, oftentimes, and that wine can be very, very powerful, even though it's done with the addition of red wine.
Hmm.
But with Biakar, you're always safe to know that you're going to have something that's extremely elegant. They even go so far as to saying that it's a rosé to try if you don't think you like rosé champagne, because it's never heavy. It's never, you never have to worry about it being too sweet. It's always very, 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 very elegant.
It really, you could call it the crossover wine for
Yeah.
for Blanc de Blanc drinkers who don't think they like rosé or don't think they like that sort of fruitier style. It really is beautiful.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a classic for a reason, and you heard it here first. The '08 Cuvée Elizabeth has been disgorged and is going to be on containers soon.
Ooh.
So we should probably, well, I'm done guessing with how long it's going to take containers to get here, but it should be here, within a quarter.
Are you grappling with tariffs and all of that? Is that changing your side of things?
Luckily, Champagne escaped the tariffs, but
good.
but nobody has escaped just the lack of containers, um, the lack of workers to both load and unload container ships.
Hmm.
Apparently, the the social distancing piece. I was just reading something from our consolidator this morning. The social distancing piece has got them on more skeleton crews. And for people who are local, if you're driving over that Bay Bridge or that Golden Gate Bridge, you can look down into that bay, and it's just crowded with container ships. They're just waiting to get to their turn to get unloaded, because things are just, everything is moving slow in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Another major problem is people end up testing positive on the ships, and if there's anybody positive on the ship doesn't get unloaded. So
for how
what do you do
how
then?
long do they just keep it? They're just keeping it in the bay and
Yeah, they got to turn them around. They've got to get them somewhere. But
wow.
it's it makes waiting for that refrigerated container that's hard to come by that much more important, because you never know where these things are going to hang out, and hopefully
how long they'll be on the water, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't even thought
Well,
of that.
does anybody out there out there who's joined us have any questions or fun stuff for us? Do you have any more questions, Kate?
Some rosé recommendations would always, I think, be good. You had the Biacart and the Laurent Perrier, but what about some of our direct imports? I know there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Well, the Aspazi that you mentioned, yeah, I can't recommend that highly enough. Um, you know, Again, in a hybrid style with both maceration and addition of red wine being used, and really the best of both worlds. That far northern terroir there in Brouillet, really, 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 really bright, very, very refreshing, but still plenty of dark fruit. That's just, I mean, for $34.99, it's impossible to beat. We also have a really interesting one, the Pierre Mineral, and that's actually Philippe Gonnet, and that one's approximately 90% of Ménil, and then 10% of Vertu Rouge, and that one's really, really good. I got some great questions about traditional pairings.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to mess up the internets by scrolling back. Oh, I can scroll back. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
The less traditional food pairings of champagne and all the meal. That's something I hope that everybody who's watching gets a chance to go to Champagne one day. But Champagne is a place where they will definitely pour you champagne with everything. And some of it can work really surprisingly well. I mean, we were just talking about rosé champagne, and that can go really, really well with things like duck, with things like quail. I've had it paired with even with venison quite
I
successfully.
see that.
And Ginger Cat down there asked about beef, if I've ever had it paired with beef, and I have had it paired with beef, and it's not a disaster. It's not like Cabernet and oysters, but
But it's so hard. I mean, champagne is really one of the most versatile food wines ever. It goes with everything.
it is pretty flexible, but it's just, for me, when it gets poured with beef, it's like, I love Bordeaux, and Bordeaux every Friday with a steak, and just absolutely love it. But Bordeaux doesn't really go that well with a lot of things besides meat.
Mhm.
And why would I have champagne with my beef when I could have Bordeaux with it?
When champagne goes with so many things.
When champagne goes with so many things.
That's true.
And
Or maybe tartare.
there you go. Definitely better. But I think that it's great, especially with all manner of Asian foods. You can really throw out some curveballs, and it doesn't really get messed up. So I think that that's one of those things to go to when when you're having a hard time thinking of things to pair with something that you really want to eat. Champagne can often be the solution for you.
Yeah, like Lunar New Year's coming up, so dumplings and champagne, awesome. Dim sum and champagne, awesome.
So super good.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about pork and cabbage dumplings, and they go really, really well with something that's got a lot of Pinot in it, or something that's got a lot of Meunier in it. I think the Blanc de Blancs are a little bit better for the cleaner, the simpler preparations like sushi or.
Yeah. What about spicy food? Like, I love Szechuan food. Would you do a Blanc de Blanc style with that? Or
I've had the best luck with spicier foods with Meunier. I think it works really pretty well. I mean, I don't think it's going to give you a hard time. Blanc de Blanc's not going to go wrong for you. But I think that I found more synergy with the Meunier that has exotic elements of its own and some spicy elements of its own.
Okay, I'm going to have to try that. So does anybody else have questions out there? I'm going to scroll through, but I think we caught the ones.
I think I'm going to pour myself some of this. I hope you guys all have something to drink here too. I mean, it's almost 5 o'clock. Oh,
5 o'clock somewhere. That's a beautiful glass.
This is the one of my favorite champagne glasses of all time. It's the Layman Jamesse. And this is the mouth blown version, which we sell for like $40 a stem. But the machine blown version is $12 a stem. And I think I'll have to ask Alex, our accessories buyer, and Scott, our accessories buyer in San Francisco. But I think it might be the best selling glass in the history of K&L.
Really? It's so pretty.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just that perfect
of
combination of the classic white wine glass, and then it sort of, tapers in for the flute feeling.
Yeah, it's a hedge, so you still have the little bubble factory and everything, the little point, but there's room to get your nose in there. And it's wide enough around the rim, to pour it not just straight over the center of your tongue, which is, my biggest complaint about your traditional straight-sided flute is the CO2 acts as does some of the job of the glass for you. So with the aromatics, you can get pretty good aromatic transmission even in a straight-sided flute because of the CO2 in the wine. But when you're pouring a really nice wine just over the center of your tongue, that's kind of a pity.
Yeah.
So it's nicer to have that
The full
that wider rim.
mouth. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to tell us about the wine.
You know, it's really good. This Vinum Day. It's it has a little Pinot Noir exoticism. Kai, we're going to get it for you. We're definitely going to get you some of it. It's just going to take a little while the way the containers are going, but it's been ordered. And I'm hoping that for later on in the year, I might even be able to negotiate to get it into the Champagne Club.
Oh, cool.
You know, it used to be impossible to get Lamois to give stuff up for the club, but you know, the restaurants aren't buying anymore, and you know, there's definitely more of an opportunity to get it, and you know, our members don't seem to be. Nobody said quit sending so much Lamois.
For those who don't know or just joining us, Lamois is one of our just fan favorites. It always sells out. It's so good. It's reasonably priced, and they've got this big cult following. And we're so lucky, I think, that you've snatched them up and we get to directly import them and bring them at a really good value. So that, you know, I think their cuvee, regular cuvee is what, $34.99, right?
Yeah, and that's all Grand Cru Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Grand Cru Blanc de Blanc for $34.99. Absolutely no clone plants used in it at all. Bernard Lamois is just he's obsessed with the plant material, and all of their vines are reproduced from a couple of plots that are the mother vines that were planted back in the very beginning of the 50s. And that's actually, you can drink the mother vines in the Special Club.
Wow.
Because the Lamois Special Club, the 2013 that we have now, is all from La Derrière de la Maison. I love that name for a vineyard, the back of the house. And it's all planted, it's all 1951 Chardonnay. We have the 2013 in stock. And I think you just posted the blog piece that I wrote about that.
So you guys can go to our blog and read more about it, onthetrail.klwines.com. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I haven't tried that yet, but Lamois, just the regular cuvee, that was our New Year's Eve wine. It was really good.
You know, just such consistently well-made stuff. He's got a lot of different ideas, not just the plants, but he also he doesn't like stainless steel, and he does one wood cuvee, which they're discontinuing now, the Severine, but he does everything in these old enamel-lined iron tanks that are like giant pieces of Le Creuset or Le Creuset. But they maintain them. Claude Cazal. You know, we don't have any. I've got a question about Claude Cazal, but we don't have any of that on the horizon. I should find out who's importing them right now. Delphine Cazal was married to Olivier Bonville. Oh. And they've split up, but they you know, they are, talk about a champagne power couple with you know, some of the greatest terroir in Avies with Bonville, and then great Auger terroir with Cazal. But I don't have any on the horizon, but I'll have to look into it to see if they have an importer now or don't have an importer now. I think they get on great, so I don't have to worry about you know, I could probably have them both in stock at the same time.
Yeah, that's good. Don't worry about politics. Well, I think I'm gonna, unless anybody else has any questions, maybe wrap us up, just so that we're not talking everybody's ear off too long.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody for coming out and listening, and thank you, Kate, for chatting.
Thank you, Gary.
Champagne with me again.
I would love to do it again. I think that it's fun, and you know, now that we're not talking to people in the wine aisles, it's great to get out there and just chat, you know,
Yeah.
hear everybody's
Boy,
questions.
miss the customer something fierce.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And if you have any questions for me or Gary, you can send us a PM and I'll make sure Gary gets it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.